In this session, let us try to understand some of the important features offered by the Hadoop framework. The first important feature offered by the Hadoop is it is a cost-effective system. What do we mean by this? Hadoop does not require any expensive or specialized hardware in order to be implemented. In other words, it can be implemented on a simple hardware. These hardware components are technically referred to as commodity hardware. The next important feature on the list is Hadoop supports a large cluster of nodes. Therefore, a Hadoop cluster can be made up of hundreds and thousands of nodes. One of the main advantages of having a large cluster is it offers more computing power and a huge storage system to the clients. The next important feature on the list is Hadoop supports parallel processing of data. Therefore, the data can be processed simultaneously across all the nodes within the cluster and thus saving a lot of time. The next important feature offered by Hadoop is distributed data. The Hadoop framework takes care of splitting and distributing the data across all the nodes within a cluster. It also replicates the data over the entire cluster. The next important feature on the list is automatic failover management. In case if any of the node within the cluster fails, the Hadoop framework would replace that particular machine with another machine, and it also replicates all the configuration settings and the data from this failed machine onto this newly replicated machine. Admins may need not have to worry about all this once the automatic failover management has been properly configured on a cluster. The next important feature on the list is data locality optimization. It is one of the most important features offered by the Hadoop framework. Let us try to understand what actually it does. In a traditional approach, whenever a software program is executed, the data is transferred from the data center onto the machine where the program is getting executed. For example, let us say the data required by our program is located at some data center in the USA, and the program that requires this data is located at Singapore. Let us assume the data required by a program is around 1 petabyte in size. Transferring such a huge volume of data from USA to Singapore would consume lot of bandwidth and time. Hadoop eliminates this problem by transferring the code, which is a few megabytes in size, located at Singapore to the data center located in USA, and then it compiles and executes the code locally on that data. Since this code is a few megabytes in size as compared to the input data, which is of 1 petabyte in size, this saves a lot of time and bandwidth. The next important feature on the list is Hadoop supports heterogeneous cluster. This feature can also be classified as one of the most important features offered by the Hadoop framework. We know that a Hadoop cluster is made up of several nodes. For your information, node is a technical term used to refer to a machine within the cluster. Now let us try to understand what do we mean by heterogeneous cluster. A heterogeneous cluster basically refers to a cluster within which each node can be from a different vendor, and each node could be running a different version and a different flavor of operating system. Let us say our cluster is made up of 4 nodes. For instance, the first node is an IBM machine running on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The second node is an Intel machine running on Ubuntu Linux. And the third node is an AMD machine running on Fedora Linux. And the last node is an HP machine running on CentOS Linux. The next important feature on the list is scalability. Scalability basically refers to the ability of adding or removing the nodes, as well as adding or removing the hardware components to or from the cluster. We can easily add or remove a node to or from a cluster without bringing down or affecting the cluster operation. Even the individual hardware components such as RAM and hard drives can be added or removed from a cluster. I hope you all might have understood the various features offered by the Hadoop framework.